In today's video, we're going to be tying a caddis nymph called the Juan's Kryptonite Caddis. First thing we're going to do is start off with a 11-20 Daiichi hook in a size 16 and a 3/32 either tungsten or regular bead. We're going to be using some Vevuus thread. You can either use 8/0 or 10/0, and you can use tan or brown. Either one works just fine. First thing we're going to do is make our body. For this, we're going to use 15-pound fluorescent green Amnesia. We're going to take about 2 feet of it or so. You're going to make a nice big overhand loop. You're going to go through that loop like an overhand knot 14 times. So you're just going to keep going through this loop until you've gone through it 14 times. Once you've done that, you're going to end up with this big long overhand knot. And you're going to take a little bit of soap. I've got just a bar of soap here. I'm just going to take the line and just rub it on that bar of soap. That'll lubricate it, and then all you're going to do is just take it and pull it nice and tight, just like that. You can peel off kind of some of those soap shavings with your fingers. You're going to end up with a little body. And once you get that, you can trim off one of the ends, and you can basically just tie it onto the shank of your hook, just like that. So we're going to take our thread here and just get it started. We're going to take it back here just kind of to the bend of the hook. We're going to take our little body. I like to kind of have it curve upwards a little bit. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. And trim off the excess. Now we need to coat that body so that it looks a little more like a bug body and also is a little more durable. I actually fished them without coating it with resin, and they actually do work, but they look a little better when they're coated with resin. So we're taking some Loon fly finish. You can either use the thin or the thick. Don't really want to use the flow, it's a little too thin for this, so I'm using the thick, and you just kind of want to build up kind of a bit of a glassy body, and just make sure you get it all around the fly. Doesn't take much of the thick to really build up a body. Zap it with my light. You can set those out in the sun to really cook and bake even more if you want. Next thing we're going to do is tie in the CDC portion of this fly. So I'm going to take some CDC here. Now, you can use just a natural colored CDC. I have some that's kind of this brownish olive color. It's got a good kind of caddisy look to it. And if you want, you can trim out some of the longer fibers. If you're going for a really clean look, you're going to want kind of shorter CDC fibers. If you're going for a nice shaggy pupa look, you can just leave the feather kind of as is. So I'm just going to take the tip of the feather and tie it in by the tip. Very delicate little feathers, so you want to have a pair of hackle pliers handy. Trim out the excess. Now you can use a petagene tool or a CDC clamp or something if you want to do like a dubbing loop or split thread technique. I usually just palmer it. It's a little faster for me rather than fiddling with the tools, but just personal preference. And then I like to give it a quick rearward stroke before I start wrapping, just to help all those fibers lay where I want them to lay. And we're going to wrap forward with this CDC. If a few of the fibers get out of whack, you can just take them and brush them back. You can see I trimmed my CDC feather a little bit, so I got some of the big, long, straggly fibers out of there. I've kind of left myself with kind of most of the medium-sized fibers. You can just capture that CDC feather Looks like the stem split on me a little bit, so let's capture that one too. There we go. And there is our little CDC body. That creates kind of a little bubble on that caddis nymph as it goes through the water column. That's just what we're looking for. Now the next material to use is just some natural Hareline hare's ear dubbing. And you want the spiky fibers and all, you want the whole bit of it. So we're going to just build up a little bit of a kind of a collar right behind the bead of this fly. It helps with this dubbing, just kind of add just a little bit at a time. You don't want to overdo it. Just going to build a little bit of a collar. It's best to add just a little at a time. You can always add more, like I'm doing now, rather than putting a giant wad of it on there and then having to take it all off. There we go. We can whip finish. Now we're not finished yet. You don't want that collar to be this tight wound ball on there. You actually want to take a brush or some Velcro and brush out all those fibers. So you get all these straggly little pieces kind of laying backwards. Make it look really buggy. It's supposed to be the legs and the antenna of the caddis fly. That is exactly what you want. Just some crinkled up fibers, some short ones and long ones. There we go. And that is the Juan's Kryptonite Caddis.